We are Fandom Roulette.
Two nerds with a passion for
History,
video games,
tabletop games,
and, well, really any nerdy stuff that comes into our lives.
While we might not be able to name every ship classification in Star Wars,
Or every Pokemon.
or every spell in the player's handbook,
Well, one of us can.
we're still here to have a good time.
Hey everyone, welcome to Fan Roulette. This is Joe.
And I'm Cody.
And on Fan Roulette, this is a podcast where we talk about a myriad of nerdy things. Just so many nerdy things. There are nerdy things including history, video games, tabletop role-playing games, and whatever nerdy things that we feel like talking about at this point in time. So, yeah. Hey Cody, how have you been, my man?
I have been doing well considering the circumstances. How have you been?
Oh, you know, I've been all right, honestly. I mean, yeah, considering the circumstances and things like that.
Yeah.
Keeping yourself busy and all that good gravy. But yeah, you up to anything new? You're I know you're building an island. You're building an island paradise.
Yes, I'm building an island paradise, Outer Haven. It will be the animal army that I need to overthrow Tom Nook and then take over all of the other animal islands.
Okay.
I will be building the Metal Gear to end all Metal Gears.
So, okay, interesting.
Yeah, so I've taken a very warlike approach to Animal Crossing. I have recruited the strongest of allies.
Now, out of curiosity, Cody, what does a Metal Gear look like in Animal Crossing? Is it like super cute?
In
does it
Animal
have, like,
Crossing, it looks like a Gundam, or like
does it have like chibi eyes?
Not quite. There is a literal Gundam in the game that I am going to turn into a Metal Gear, and I'm going to live at the top of my island where
there's a Gundam in Animal Crossing?
Yeah, once you get to kind of the quote-unquote end game, where like you basically have one more key objective to do before like the game kind of becomes paying off your debt and like experiencing the seasonal events. One of the items you can custom DIY build is a giant robot. And it looks surprisingly like gun cannon from Mobile Suit Gundam.
That's
I know. And as soon as I heard that, I'm like, okay, new plan. I'm going to be Big Boss, and I'm basically going to recreate Metal Gear Solid in Animal Crossing. So
Can you give your villager an eye patch?
See, I don't know specifically, but topically enough, I did just acquire a face mask. So if they have a face mask, there's gotta be an eye patch.
Yeah, it's also the whole island gimmick. It would be silly if they didn't have an eye patch, I think.
Exactly. But I did just unlock the Mabel sisters, which are kind of they're the people who have like all the clothing options that you can buy, and their stock rotates every day. So I'll just have to wait for it to show up. Or find like the perfect military garb so that I can be... So that I think you can make your islanders dress a very particular way. So I think I'm going to put them all in camo garb.
Wait, you can tell them what to wear?
You can tell them what to wear and what their catchphrase is, if memory serves. And so all of them are going to probably be their catchphrase if it's long or if it is a long enough text field, it will definitely be lale lule lo, which Metal Gear Solid fans will appreciate, and then they will be all in,
Wait. No. Did Animal Crossing just become a dystopia all of a sudden?
Yes. For me it did.
No, you shouldn't be able to tell. You shouldn't be able to tell people what their catchphrases are.
So in the original Animal Crossing games, sometimes they would come up to you and be like, "Hey, I've had this catchphrase for a while, blah, blah, blah. Would you like to change it?" And like, that was like a very like casual and like, okay, yeah, no, your catchphrase should definitely be something else. And like, since GameCube didn't have like profanity filters like this one did, you could say swears, like, you know, like they'd be like, hey, how are you, asshat? And it's like, oh, okay, thanks.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So now it's weird because, so you know the Smash character Isabelle, right?
I do know the Smash character Isabelle.
She is in charge of enforcing these rules.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Think about that for a hot minute.
I thought she was just the mayor's assistant.
She is, but she's the one who enforces what people wear and what people say.
So is she the whatever that character's name is, whose name I'm forgetting now?
Sure.
From 3, you're like mom.
Oh, from Metal Gear Solid 3?
Yeah.
The boss? Or yeah.
Is her name just the boss?
Yeah, so she's the boss, and then the title, because she quote unquote defects from the United States to Soviet Russia during the Cold War. Your job as her disciple or her apprentice is to kill her, and then when you do at the end of the game, spoilers for, gosh, who would have thought that this episode would be the one where I spoil the plot of Metal Gear Solid 3?
Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
hey,
so
we all
when
knew
you
we all knew it was
kill
going to
her-
happen eventually, Cody.
Right. So when you kill her, you are then promoted to the title of boss, but you're called Big Boss, and that's kind of like a big thing for the Metal Gear Solid fans, because Big Boss is technically the villain in the original Metal Gear and then Metal Gear 2 Snake's Revenge games.
Yeah. Okay. And so then, so Snake shows up on the Animal Crossing island.
Yeah. So
And,
eventually, I will dress up
what's he
as
up
Snake.
to?
Oh, so he's sneaking around, and I have to make sure that my guards get him and eliminate him. Yeah.
And then is Otacon there or no?
So, I've been thinking about whether or not I should keep a otaku-loving scientist on the island to produce more Metal Gear. But the more I think about it, the more I feel like that's an oversight. That someone who appeals to his otaku side and maybe a little bit of his romantic side might switch him over to the other team. But I also like giant robots with guns on them, so it's a toss-up. I don't know if Otacon's going to be there or not.
Fair enough. So anyway, that was a good intro.
That was a good intro.
I enjoyed it. You have to keep me posted on your
I will keep you updated
weird dystopian hellscape.
Yeah, we're calling it Outer Haven.
Okay, and so then you're going to have to murder Isabelle at some point, right?
So here's the thing:
can become Big Boss, or is she immortal?
So I think she's immortal, but I do need to kill Tom Nook so that I take over the island. And
so wait, okay.
So I kill Tom Nook, but I befriend Isabelle and make her think that the right choice is to kill Tom Nook. It's a long game. Game.
Can you kill Tom Nook?
So here's the thing. I'm going to bet the island on it.
Oh, shit.
I have no idea, but I think if I can convince Isabelle to be on my team, two semi-immortal beings fighting to the death, I might be able to hold it off.
It's going to be like the end of the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, ain't it? Isn't it?
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah. I wanted that to happen in that movie where Barbossa was like, "Are we just going to fight forever?" And I was like, "That'd be cool."
They all come back later in the third movie and they're still fighting, and it's like, God,
it's true.
Stop.
Can I say though, I still got enjoyment out of 2 and 3 and even 4. They're not good movies, but they're very enjoyable movies. And I'll never forget the experience of like being in that movie theater during the second one, and Jeffrey Rush shows up as Barbossa, and the theater losing its fucking mind. That was a cool movie going experience, I will say.
Nice. Which
But anyway,
one was the one where they did the pirate ship battles over the tsunami hole?
that 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 was the third one.
Okay.
Sponsored by GameSack.
Yes, game
Pound that
sack, the
sack.
sack that you can hit and eat. I mean,
yeah, beat that sack.
beat that sack to eat it.
Yeah.
Huh.
If you want that food in your mouth, you gotta beat that sack.
Sponsored by
the
Game
worst
Sack.
the worst part is like that's not even an idiom. Like,
No, you do actually have to smash the food in the bag in order to consume it. Although
yeah, that was
they
Oh, go ahead.
are test driving GameSack Premium, which does all of that for you. All you need to do is open your mouth hole.
See, I heard rumors that was made illegal.
Well, so here's the thing: there is a legal battle.
Yeah,
but
man,
with the right lawyers, we might be able to pull through.
People are gonna love the fucking mythology of GameSack.
Yeah, someone out there is gonna create the YouTube history lesson of GameSack and its proprietary food ingesting service product.
The first image is gonna be my mugshot.
With your face just covered in bits of shredded lettuce and Dorito dust. Yeah, because the first thing we're gonna try this on is definitely Taco Bell.
People are just gonna be so excited. They're like, oh, they're talking about GameSack again. Sweet.
Yeah.
So anyway, hey Cody.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue our conversation about a show we've been talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. A show that's set in like a fantastical universe that's full of exciting, interesting creatures.
And
a show that follows a character who's not the most talkative fella. And a show about a guy who, he makes his living, chasing things down and finding things and fighting them and getting people to pay him for doing a little bit of extermination, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this gruff guy, he reluctantly becomes a father figure.
Yeah. Of course.
Trying to fight fate, but fate will always fight back,
Of course. Yeah.
So I'm super glad you want to talk about The Mandalorian too.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, hey, so as we were talking about The Witcher, I kind of alluded to this in my year-end review episode. But I kind of pitched the idea that maybe it'd be fun to do an episode where we kind of talk about the weird fact that, like, within pretty short succession of one another, we had two shows that were functionally very similar in a lot of ways, which is the Star Wars series The Mandalorian and the Netflix original series The Witcher. So yeah, Cody, what drew you to this, or what made you agree to talk about this topic with me, your podcast co-host?
When you put me at gunpoint. I mean, when
No, that was that was the machine, Cody. I keep telling you that.
I know you keep saying it's the machine, but I think you and the machine have joined alliances or something.
So here's the thing: is I did use T1000 tech on it, so it can morph to look like me. I could see where you're confused.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, then we're totally fine. You definitely didn't put me at gunpoint and say, "Hey, we should do one of these," and I said, "Okay, definitely," and
that's
agreed.
True. It was
simply because I wanted to live.
It was the machine.
Yeah. No. The machine.
Also, I just feel like we need to say this. This is all parody. Joke. Parody.
Yes,
account.
this is all a joke.
Yep. I mean, hey man, I saw this movie called Comedy Man. Starring Hokin Hokin Firebird. And like that was his big catchphrase was, "This has all been a joke."
Huh. Okay.
So that was that. To go behind the bit for a second, the movie was actually Joker by Todd Phillips.
Oh god.
And I've not actually seen that movie. In fact,
I have not
refuse
seen
to.
Joker either.
I don't.
It's
really
not
want
that I
to.
refuse to. It's just I was gonna wait until something stirred within me. Like, I guess I'm just like, it's not that I don't want to watch it. It's that I also have no interest in like seeking it out myself. So like, if the situation comes where I can watch it, I'll be like, all right, and I'll talk about it or whatever.
Well,
but
Cody, do you know that we live in a society?
No, I don't.
But anyway, so yeah,
so
yeah,
it's real talk. The fact that not only did both of these, because Mandalorian came out November 12th of last year and came out in like weekly episodes.
It was episodic, which is why I gave it the edge over The Witcher, by the way.
Yeah, and then The Witcher in all of its entirety came out December 20th.
Yes. About a month later. Weird.
Yeah, and not only that, but like similar style shows.
Yeah, they both had a level of grit to them.
Yeah. Like the fact that arguably the two best shows that came out in 2019 came out right at the end and featured very similar themes. Maybe not the same stories. And definitely not the same vibes, but definitely like it's interesting that like the executives, were just kind of mind linked when they both had these meetings and like, yeah, I think it would be a hit if you did a father figure who unexpectedly becomes an actual father to some orphaned kid, and then you make it an action gritty thing, akin to like the Game of Thrones things. Yeah.
And
then and then Lucasfilm, and then whoever helped produce The Witcher. I know it's like Netflix. It's on Netflix, but what's the production company?
Pretty sure it's Netflix too. Netflix again.
Yeah, so it's like Disney and Netflix were having a meeting on the same day, and they had the same general theme. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, all right, but let's do our thing. Well, we got Star Wars. Let's do Star Wars thing. Like it's kind of wild to me that they both did this at the same time, and like neither of them like chickened out when they kind of saw what was going on. Because like Netflix is just like, Netflix is like, oh fuck, they got like the same show.
Let's release it.
Yeah,
let's just do it.
But both of them ended up being great.
It's true. But yeah, I think it's interesting because I've kind of seen this growing trend in media, right? And I think I might have mentioned this before, so if I have, I apologize, but I also forget everything I say in the podcast as soon as we're done recording. I have the mind of a goldfish.
They're actually calling it the goldfish effect.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that I feel like it's kind of entering this growing trend of the people who are now in charge of making things, they themselves are older and have become, fathers in their own rights and things like that. And parents in their own rights, because mothers as well, because the showrunner of The Witcher is a woman. And it's interesting that we are starting to get these stories about like parenting and parenthood and things like that, right? Because you also have God of War, which was a similar thing. I mentioned the book I'm reading right now called Kings of the Wild is about a mercenary band who were like hot shit back in the day. They were like young, rough D&D party characters who are now like all a little past their prime, and they're, 3 of them are dads and things like that. I just think it's really interesting that there's this kind of growing trend of like stories about parents, reluctant or not reluctant, but stories about parents who at one time, were either, like, or still at the top of their game. Like, there's nothing to suggest that Mandalorian and Geralt are not the top of their game. But I just thought it was kind of interesting that we're starting to see these stories kind of permeating and bubbling up. through our media.
Yeah.
So yeah. But what was the so here's a couple of sort of major thoughts I have about the difference and why, of the two, I liked Mandalorian a little better. Like I said, I gave it my TV show of the year last year award.
Nice.
It's a mouthful of a thing. There was no award actually. No one cares. But
Damn, fucking Southburn.
Yeah, man. But I would say I think that there was something special about the episodic nature of The Mandalorian, where it gave you a while to stew on it and just be like, ooh, I wonder what's gonna happen next. But I want to get your feedback on it. I think one of the things that worked really nicely about it was the fact that so much of it was him forming his bond with the Baby Yoda. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting a note here from GameSack, a subsidiary of Disney Films.
Yeah.
That I have to refer to that character by its official Disney sanction named the Child.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's really unfortunate that they didn't trademark Baby Yoda.
I think it's for the record, I think that's the most hilarious thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, the whole goof that they were like, yeah, people will call it the Child because that's what we said, and not like the fucking obvious, like, this is Baby Yoda.
Well, especially because that's the last shot of episode 1, right? Is that Baby Yoda. And so everyone was like, oh shit, look at that Baby Yoda. And
right.
I was like, well, at that point it was too late, man. You should have fucking copyrighted it. But yeah, I think that, And I think that maybe that's where the two stories diverge in the most major of ways, which is The Witcher is kind of a story about a man who's trying desperately hard to run away from his fate, but fate always catches up to you no matter what. Whereas The Mandalorian doesn't seem to care. It's just that he's like, oh, I guess this thing is cute and I've kind of formed a bond with it and I don't want this innocent thing to be experimented on. I suppose I'll put my life in jeopardy. But I just think it was really nice to see that bond growing over the course of the season, where at the end you're like, oh my god, you're a clan of two, and like you get those chills running down your spine and stuff.
Right.
Which like that moment of The Witcher where he and Ciri run to each other, it's like the last shot of the season,
right?
And they're making it feel like this big epic moment, but in like a large way, to me personally, it felt somewhat unearned.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like they were really pumping hard on that music, and the music was really emoting for you. And I was just like, I mean, like, I'm excited to see where this goes next, but I don't necessarily feel like that moment was like earned, right? Because especially too, like, Ciri mentions like, oh, I'm looking for Geralt, but like at no point, like, she's never like desperate to find him, like at no point, like she very much considers staying in that what's the name of those creatures in the forest?
The elven tribe.
It's like she highly considers like staying with the elves in that elven forest.
Sure.
Like I feel like if maybe there was more of a drive on her end to find Geralt, it might have felt a little cooler, or maybe a little bit more earned. But I felt like that moment at the very end was just like, I get what they were going for, and I feel it, but like it felt somewhat unearned. So,
and this is where I think you and I differ on that. I think it was earned because the whole theme is that, and I know we mostly specifically talk about Geralt in this moment, but it also applies to Ciri as well. That fate in the Witcher universe has a plan for you, and no matter what you do, you're eventually going to get to where fate wants you to. And so that whole bit where she's in the elven forest and she's like talking with like this psychic tree or whatever, I'm not really sure what that is, but like, and you think like, oh, like, maybe this is like her, chancing out fate or tricking fate, and like she doesn't have to do that, but like, nah, fate has Geralt and Ciri coming together, and so eventually she would have to leave. I think that it definitely that last scene, I think, is earned to a degree, but I think that the scene where or that episode where she is talking with thinking about staying with these people in the forest, I think that just further cemented the idea that at some point Geralt, Ciri, and even to a certain and to a degree Yennefer are going to eventually, like, fate is going to have them meet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel it. It just I don't know.
Right, and
it didn't work to the same level.
To each their own. Like it depends on who you are. I definitely I see where you're coming from for sure, but I don't think I'm not quite as down on the ending, I guess, as you are. Because I do think that, like, the fact, or at least in my head, I was like, oh damn, are they gonna, like, is because, like, this whole time it's been like one setback after another. Mm-hmm. So, like, it was nice to see them finally get together.
Fair enough.
In my book.
No, I feel that. It's just, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I had my issues with it, I suppose. So,
yeah, no, totally get it. Also, can we talk about how Star Wars has some daddy issue problems?
I mean, yeah.
That's the theme of The Mandalorian, right? Is like this kind of almost coming to age fatherhood tale. And it's like, man, Star Wars really likes to talk about parents, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's interesting, that George Lucas kind of came out after Force Awakens, and he was like complaining about all the different things he pitched that they never used, and this and that and the other thing. And apparently, sure, like, you find clips of him, like, even back in, like, the 70s, I want to say, where he's like, the thing I think is the most interesting is this whole thing of, he saw the story as a farm boy slowly getting more jaded over time as his world becomes bigger.
Interesting.
And yeah, and I guess, like, one of the things he pitched like two things, which is, like, he wanted the protagonist to be female and be Luke Skywalker's daughter. Okay. And I think he also pitched the idea of, like, Luke was, like, has isolated himself because he's
so jaded of the world around him. Everything's just fucked, and it's permanently stuck that way.
He's done, right? But yeah, I think
I mean, we can all agree that while the most recent 3 Star Wars movies were fun to watch, they arguably had some issues.
Sure. Oh,
and
it
definitely feels like, and honestly, I think this is just what happens when you put a bunch of cooks in a kitchen and have them try to cook the same thing throughout the night, but then you also pull one out and put another one in, and then you tell one of the cooks who's already been working a fucking 12-hour shift that he's got to work the rest of someone else's shift. Like,
I heard, my friend told me an anecdote that he read about the first Star Wars. And I might have said this on the podcast before, but apparently, Harrison Ford apparently for those first 3, just loved messing with George Lucas. And apparently he at one point, like, said to George, like, you can write this shit, but you can't read it. As kind of this thing is like, yeah, like, you're writing these just ridiculous lines that don't sound human at all. And he apparently, like, pushed the other actors really hard to, like, riff a little bit and, like, come up with their own stuff and like, this, that, the other thing. And apparently it's because, but, like, my friend had a theory, which is that it's like, at some point Star Wars becomes reverent, and it's like, oh, we have to respect the vision of George, we have to respect the world of George Lucas. And like, if you go back to the first one, those actors didn't respect the world of George Lucas. What are you talking about?
Well, not
like,
only that, but like
Harrison Ford would say that's the dumbest shit ever. Like,
yeah, and the funny thing too is like George Lucas didn't win any awards for Star Wars. His wife did for editing it.
Hell yeah. Isn't that
so, like,
that's rad? But yeah, I think like your cooks in the kitchen metaphor is the same, is good, but it's also in a way kind of a Ratatouille situation. Which did I lose you?
No, you did not.
With the
I'm still listening.
No.
Well, yeah, no, I'm with you on the Ratatouille thing. He can like control people with the hair, but it's all wonky and weird.
But it's also like, you know, like the people in the restaurant are so like slavishly devoted to recipes that are like kind of old and outdated and stuff, right?
Yeah,
and it's one of those things where it's like, in a way, you need to innovate and you need to bring fresh blood and you need to bring in fresh new ideas. And I think that was the thing is like in looks, Mandalorian felt very classic Star Wars, but in story it felt pretty fresh, and it also felt to be not treating Star Wars as this like sacred text, you know?
Yeah, like
there were things about it that were messy and
yeah,
strange and a little gritty and things like that. So,
well, the nice thing too is like, I think we when we think of Star Wars, there's a very specific like tone, right? Like it has to be this very specific thing. And I think the movies and stuff that did well are the things that went away from like the kind of like light-hearted, spunky adventures to like try something different. And that's what I really liked about Mandalorian, is that it had this really like kind of gritty, life sucks, like everything is shit kind of mentality to it, but also within that theme, or like within that setting, we see this really kind of like happy, like kind tale of a man taking to a child and like wanting that child to thrive when he didn't have to. He could have just taken the job and left, but he destroyed his entire career to do that. And like, you know, you can't say that about Geralt of Rivia. Yeah, like, I mean, granted, he's the butcher of Blaviken, but like, you know, he didn't like that show didn't like change him ultimately. It just kind of like, all right, Geralt, I know you're trying to run away. No, that's not going to happen. Like, still two very good shows, but I think the way that Mandalorian handled it was really spot on. Because it was like,
agreed,
you have this dark, gritty theme or tone to the show, but you're going to tell this kind of nice and kind and like almost, I don't want to say light side, but like this good-hearted story about someone willing, you know, trying their damnedest to give this kid a better life than like, you know, probably dying or whatever.
Agreed. Yeah,
but we have to see how season 2 holds up for each of these. Have you seen the screenshot, or did you hear who they're casting for or not who they're casting, but what characters are going to be in season 2 of Mandalorian?
Ahsoka Tano?
Yeah, I know a lot of people are like super excited. I have no idea who that is.
So it's weird because I don't know her from the thing that everyone loves her for, but I know her from another Star Wars cartoon, which is actually on Disney Plus, and it's very good. It's called Star Wars Rebels. She was Anakin's apprentice, during the Clone Wars, which is...
Wait, apprentice?
Yeah, okay, so apparently they wrote her to be Obi-Wan's apprentice, and then George Lucas was like, I think it would be better if it was Anakin's apprentice. And so they were like, okay, you're George Lucas. And they changed it, but it ends up paying off really nicely in Rebels, and it's really good. And then I guess for both... Yeah.
When you say apprentice, she was training Anakin, or was...
No, Anakin was training her.
Oh, so Anakin had a student.
at some point during the Clone Wars that they failed to mention in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, so I guess the big thing with her is that she like was very hot-headed, and
oh, cool. Two hotheads.
She does something, and she basically, I think it's like kicked out of the Jedi Order. Someone's yelling at their phone right now. They're like, "You idiot!"
Somebody is just like, it's just like, ah, just screaming at the top of their lungs about how we know fucking jack shit about Star Wars.
Yeah, and so like when she shows up in Rebels, she has 2 silver lightsabers because she is not part of the Jedi Order. So,
huh? Okay, wait. So I've seen pictures of this person, and I could have sworn that during the order to slay or to kill the Jedi, there's a scene of them like messing her up. Or am I thinking of somebody else?
You're thinking of another character. I believe Ashoka Tano is Twi'lek, but her head tentacles are white with like orange stripes on them. Actually, she's not. I don't think she is Twi'lek. Actually,
no, I don't think she is either. But either way,
she is Togruta.
Okay, that's a name.
They are. I believe they are semi-amphibian.
Okay. Well, either way.
But anyway, she rules, and it's going to be really cool. Also, WWE superstar Sasha Banks is going to be in season 2. That's pretty exciting.
Nice.
Yeah. But anyway, shall we wrap her up there?
One question before we depart here. Which one are you more excited to see? Mandalorian season 2 or The Witcher season 2?
Probably Mandalorian season 2. Okay, I would say. I'm excited for both of them. Honestly,
obviously, yeah.
I think that we wouldn't spend however many episodes like preparing for talking about The Witcher if we didn't enjoy it at least a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's some exciting things ahead. I thought that the season finale was going to go one way and it went another way, and it went in a way that was super cool in my opinion. Which is, I thought that Mando was going to be given the Darksaber, but he was given the jetpack instead, which I think is way cooler.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool that Empire dude has the Darksaber. So.
Oh yeah. That is pretty rad. I will have to say, of the two, I am more excited to see what they do with The Witcher. But I think that might be
a podcast divided.
Right, podcast divided. I don't know. There's something about Star Wars in general. Like when I just hear the name, I have to take myself back a little bit because I find myself getting too hyped and getting. Sans Mandalorian, that one was like I was really excited and that paid off, but I'm always a little nervous about Star Wars. But with The Witcher, I feel like they know that show in and out now. Like they did that first season, and that first season rocked.
Sure.
They tell more of the story, and like they've got a good thing going, because like that, as I understand it, that story is pretty fucking rad.
Yeah, no, it should be pretty cool. Either direction, both shows are going to be super cool. Shall we wrap her up?
You bet.
Cody,
yeah.
if I'm sorry, Cody, if you like the episode and you want to learn more about it, please, Cody, tell us how people can learn more.
Well, my good sir, you can go to the hub of all things Fandom Roulette by checking out our website at www.fandomroulette.com, where you can find all of our episodes when they go live. You also can get little bios of us and the things we are working on. We also have a little thing at the bottom where all of our social media links are. So if you're ever like, I can't find their Twitter or whatever, like you can find it at the bottom of our website. And right before that, there's a little area where you can ask questions, you can give us feedback, you can just talk to us about the things that you saw on the podcast. We appreciate any and all conversations. We love to converse with our fans. We do it pretty regularly, but mostly in private. But if you ever have any recommendations or things that you'd like to discuss about what we do, that is the place to do it. And if you're looking to share with your friends and you need somewhere to send them besides the website, we're on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud, we're on Google Play, Spotify, your RSS feeds. All you got to do is search Fandom Roulette. And going back to our social media stuff, if you're looking for our, for updates about when things are coming out, when I stream video games during the Mondays, you can go to our Twitter handle at fandomr_podcast. And we're also on Facebook and Instagram. So if you're looking for some spicy memes, look no further.
Yes, red hot.
Red hot.
Also, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Tell a friend, pass it along.
Yeah. And thanks for listening. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we hope you guys are staying safe and out there.
Yeah, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay good.
Stay nerdy. Yeah, and as always, stay nerdy.
I tried to stop myself.
Signing off for Fandom Roulette, this is Joe.
And I'm Cody.
And as always, stay nerdy.
Stay super nerdy.